Thanks very much, and it's a real pleasure to be on the call this afternoon and to be able to introduce and share with you all the work that the education safeguarding team carry out. So as Steve has suggested, we have had a bit of a change. So some of you have been involved with education safeguarding historically will have, where we've had safeguarding concerns that have been raised. Previously, the safeguarding team would cover all things to do with either establishments in terms of the environment and the culture and the settings, as well as individual concerns raised about individual children and young people, things around inclusion and attendance and SEN. And at the end of the last academic year, or actually last year, there was a restructure within Education Partnership and Skills, and as part of that, the role of education safeguarding changed, and we have very much now, it's been kind of split, although we do work in collaboration with colleagues in the inclusion side of the services, but the focus of the education safeguarding team now is very much more around compliance, so making sure that our education settings are compliant in terms of their statutory requirements, their statutory functions. Children and young people still front and centre, safeguarding still front and centre, but we have a different focus on the work that we do within the education safeguarding team vis-a-vis what you would have experienced before. So I'm the service manager and I have the absolute pleasure and privilege of working with these two lovely ladies. So I've got Catherine Hollinghurst and Beth Olive, who cover the whole of the county, but we cover it and we split it up geographically just to try and make it a little bit more manageable for them. So we're just highlighting there the contact details for them both, and also our general mailbox. So if you've got any queries regarding education safeguarding, then that's the area to the inbox to send your queries to. And what we've just got is a few slides because we're conscious of time, but we have just got a few slides to share with you, which will hopefully give you an overview in terms of what we do and how we do it. So I will now hand over to Beth and Catherine to take you through.
Thanks, Sam. So as Sam's mentioned, the focus of our work is around ensuring that safeguarding compliance within settings, and that is all settings from 0 to 19, irrespective of status. So that's from childminders, alternative provisions, academies, LM maintained schools, FE colleges, you name it, we work with them. So part of what we do as well is manage safeguarding complaints. So as the local authority, we do receive complaints through Ofsted or the DFE or via direct referrals around settings and their practice, and part of our role is to investigate those complaints and then move forward providing advice, guidance and support to settings.
We are funded, as Catherine just said, and therefore we're available for every type of setting. We provide professional advice and support to senior leaders around education safeguarding and compliance, and deliver training on specific safeguarding compliance issues. Also, we deliver the termly designated safeguarding lead briefings. And also we complete the safeguarding evaluations. If there are any concerns about a safeguarding setting in relation to safeguarding practice, we can advise on policy, legislation and best practice around that. We also investigate education safeguarding complaints and concerns. These come from a range of different complainants really, including from Ofsted, from the Department for Education, or direct complaints or concerns from professionals or parents or carers. As Catherine touched on earlier. We manage the Somerset Governors Section 175157 statutory audit and policies for settings to adapt each September. The Section 175157 statutory audit has just gone live for this year. We touched on managing safeguarding complaints earlier, so we investigate any complaints relating to providers. This is a supportive process and we work with settings to understand what has happened, identify any learning points and be assured that safeguarding practices and processes are effective, because the origin of the complaint seeks our assurance that your setting is compliant with safeguarding.
Just to touch on some useful information that we've had published in the schools bulletins this year. So the first half term was safeguarding focus, and there's just a number of short articles that you can access with updates around filtering and monitoring guidance, prevent guidance, child exploitation, to name a few. So they're all listed on our webpage on SSE. So please have a look at those. There's some really useful tools and links to guidance that settings can use.
Okay. And I think the key thing here as well is the focus around compliance. It's a compliance with a big C but with a small c. So when we are working with settings, it's not that we want to come in if there's Ofsted complaints. What we want to do is work with schools, work with our with the different settings, different providers, just to ensure that actually the systems, the processes that we have in place, we're actually working with you to ensure that they've got the best arrangements that we have, and also making sure, if we have notifications where schools have received the Ofsted call, then what Catherine and Beth will do is touch base with those settings and offer to do a review of their single central record in advance of Ofsted coming in. We're trying to get ahead of the curve, and we are trying to be more proactive and try and predict which schools we think are in the window. And we're not quite there, but we've done a really good job. But it is very much a supportive process. When we get Ofsted complaints coming through, one of the first things we will check is whether actually the person that's raised the complaint, sometimes they remain anonymous, is actually have they used the settings complaints process, because that's where we would always be trying to signpost people who have concerns to go through that settings complaint process first and foremost. But we also recognise we have people that feel very passionate about what it is they're complaining around, and sometimes we'll kind of shoot from the hip and we'll send stuff out to all various parties just to ensure that they're feeling heard. But I think in terms of just trying to understand the difference between the safeguarding team that used to be in place and the safeguarding team that we have now is thinking about, Beth and Catherine, focusing very much on the sort of the setting, the environment, the culture, the policy and the practice, rather than the individual child. And that focus on the individual child remains very much still within inclusion and the services within the inclusion team. So that's all that we have to share with you today. So I'm conscious of time, but if you have any questions, then please do feel free to share.
Yeah, I can just see one in the chat. So we're working with schools and their adherence to policies rather than with families. Yeah, absolutely. That's the focus of our work. And if schools need support around attendance or inclusion, then the front door for that would be the Education Engagement Team, EES. Okay, so that would be, so previously it was Education Safeguarding Service. The name has now changed to Education Engagement Service.